Welcome to Tentacle Croissant. I am your first host, Pierre XO, and here we're going to be discussing many things such as Richard Grannon's new triple lenses, quadruple lenses.
Well, there's this little Klimt character. Whenever he raps, he's got the glasses on upside down. So I'm jacking his swagger, as the kids say. I'm jacking his swagger, and now I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it. But I feel like I was like, what would my hip hop voice be? And I think I'd be more like Slick Rick from the early '80s. I don't know if you remember Slick Rick.
Never slicked a Rick in my life, man.
It's one of the best '80s rap tunes of all time. Lardy Dardy. It's fantastic. So that's what I'm going for. I'm now Slick Rick from now on.
I've unironically worn double lenses like that before because one time I fell asleep after a long night of Hennessy and all these other things, and my contact cut my pupil. So then I had to get antibiotics for it. And then when I had to go outside, it was too bright, so I needed to keep sunglasses on, but at the same time, I needed to see. So I wore regular seeing glasses and put the sunglasses over and looked like a complete doofus for the whole day.
Yeah. This is actually extremely comfortable for my eyes because it's very, very bright in here and I'm very light sensitive and I can see perfectly, but I look like a twat.
Actually, it doesn't. It actually looks like it's part of the frame, man.
I could get away with it from a distance, right?
Yeah, I can. Okay, maybe when you turn to the side, you can see the depth.
If I just stay like this, you can't really.
Actually, if you just wear a turtleneck, it changes the whole context and then you become a fashion designer.
Right. That's true. So we should tell these people. Well, I'll explain the premise for today. I was looking into things to do with moral disengagement and the dark core personality type, and I decided it was interesting enough to do a video on. It's new. The dark core personality test is from.
I'll send a link right now to everybody.
Thank you. From 2018, and I did the test and then I did a video on it, which has been edited by Mr. Pierre XO. It's very good. It's going to be out on Friday. And we both have done the test and we both got unusual and unexpected results.
Is it really unusual or is that kind of what you expected?
I always knew that I vector in for a lot of the cluster B personality disorder stuff. All of them, like narcissism, psychopathy, borderline, histrionic, and even vulnerable narcissism. I know that there's enough. I have enough mental health issues that I would be like on the spectrum for a lot of these things. I don't think I have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, but I knew I was on the spectrum for it. I just didn't know it would be like the way it is.
Yeah, man. I ended up perfectly healthy, man. I have no traits of cluster B, and I am perfectly sane in every way.
So it's my fault.
It's your fault.
I'm the bad guy and you're the sane one.
I'm the sane one. You just hide it. The normalest people are the serial killers, man.
Right. But no, I mean, for literally between me and you, if one of us was going to be found to be a serial killer, it's going to be me.
Oh, for sure. I would be responsible for like the Charles Manson type approach. You know what I mean? Where it's not fully directly my hand. It's rather like this external. Oh, we can't exactly, but you definitely would have like a sledgehammer or something.
It would be me face up, But we realized that when we shot the Slavoj Žižek video and we were doing the outtakes and watching it back, I was so wooden in my acting that I seemed like a serial killer. I was so incredibly unnatural delivering lines that I seemed like a really scary serial killer.
Yeah, the way that you approach it, the way that you approached the method acting was like you were trying to act human, but you didn't know how to.
Right. It was scary. I was watching it back going, this exactly that.
What are you watching?
Not blinking and saying weird stuff, and even my body positioning was awkward. Like the way I walked into the room, it was like an alien had inhabited a human body and then was trying to operate it.
Tolly says, I thought it was intentional.
No, that's how I act. But what we found that day is if I ever need to be a serial killer, I'd given myself an instruction. I can't remember what the hell it was.
What do you mean?
I think on the day, I think in my own head. Steady. Hold it together, Pierre. This is live. I think in my head, I'd said, play this as normal as you can, be as straight as you can. Don't try and be funny, don't be eccentric or anything. But what I was like, be normal was my internal directive. But what came out was cold-blooded massacre of villages. Like,
You
I
know,
didn't kill a person, I killed them all.
whether you meant to or not, it was the perfect, let's just say the perfect before character before the transformation.
Right.
Because it was completely void of humanity, and then you evolved into something that was just super expressive.
Yes. And there's that weird, uncanny sort of sense of this person seems to be nice and they're smiling, but there's definitely something wrong here. So I always knew. I mean, my lifestyle. There's tests for psychopathy, and there's different types of psychopathy. And because I keep moving house, and because I have been involved in criminal acts in my 20s, like serious crime, you would have said I was a psychopath.
Well, I mean, I think especially in the line of work of being a bouncer, you have to score a bit on the psychopath spectrum in order to deal with the violence that you have to use in order to clear out the dance floor, you know?
Well, I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't just a bouncer. They did another documentary was on the British TV 2 nights ago, and it was about Liverpool drug dealers and taxmen. They're the guys who beat up the drug dealers and take their money. And I knew what was coming when I flicked it on, and inside of 5 minutes, my old boss was on there.
Oh,
Yeah, Stephen French is my old boss. So there's two guys who are quite famous. I'll say it on this channel, not on the main channel. Stephen French is famous. Sean Smith was my first boss, and if you look up the UK's scariest debt collector, I worked for him when I was a kid.
oh
So
my.
yeah, no, I mean, and there was drugs and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I knew I'd have a personality disorder spectrum, but I didn't know it was going to be. I didn't know it was quite going to be this. I don't suppose you've got my results there, have you?
I think so. Hold on. You sent it to me on WhatsApp here, which is now owned by China. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it on the screen if I show it like that. Oh God, the text is way too small.
Yes.
Is there a way to like
Just
you
about.
screen share the thing somehow? That would probably take too long, huh?
Probably the only way to do it is if I pull up the picture
Oh,
and
dude,
then
wait, I
send it
can
to
do it.
myself. Yeah,
I can actually scare.
you can. You're scaring me. If you email that to me,
I can share my screen. Just go ahead
oh,
and talk while I pull
okay.
this motherfucker up.
So this dark core personality test, it tests for things like moral disengagement. So it has the classic dark triad stuff, but it goes beyond that. Moral disengagement, greed, narcissism, self-centeredness, psychopathy, sadism, and another two things that I can't remember off the top of my head. And then instead of just going, okay, like it would be for borderline personality disorder, here's an equally weighted 9 traits we're going to tick off. And if you have 6 out of 9, you get them. It doesn't equally weight them. It says you have this much of this and this much of that and this much of that and this much of that, which is really interesting. It's a much more modern, much more scientific, much more nuanced way of getting it done, which was why I was interested in the test primarily, is because it's a better way of doing. I wouldn't even say it's a good personality disorder test. It's beyond personality disorders. It's a good way of testing for the potential criminality, the potential harm of a human being. It's a really, really good way of doing that.
All right, so right on time, man. Okay, so oh, perfect. Here it is. Just give me a second here.
Well, there it is.
The inner mechanisms of two potential psychopaths side by side.
Oh, great. Oh, that's perfect. Well done. So,
All right. I wonder if I can zoom in. Oh, I can. Great. So you are on the left.
Yes, I
I'm
am.
on the right.
There's our dirty spider webs right there. So I rated fairly high for narcissism and entitlement, moderately for psychopathy and sadism, nothing for greed, nothing for moral disengagement, nothing for self-centeredness, a little bit spiteful, a little bit egotistical. But the highest thing I got was narcissism, which was pretty heavy. So that means the people on the internet who are like, Richard Grannon is a narcissist because he blocked me from a live stream, that they're actually going to be proved right. Now, Pierre, Pierre Tran, what can we say about your massive levels of greed and psychological entitlement?
But I'm not narcissistic at all, though.
Not at all. Not at all.
No ego, no narcissism, but I am entitled as hell. But I completely understand that because I deserve to be treated better in every way of my life.
So I think what we're looking at is a millennial's personality chart. This is the standard millennial personality chart. Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? It's really, really interesting. It broke down this way because you have zero narcissism, which I mean, without being offensive, I would think that's really strange.
Without being offensive, I would think you're the biggest narcissist to ever exist. But here's the thing, though. I would think that I am the biggest narcissist to ever
exist. Between the two of us. Because narcissism is image focused. It's so between the two of us, I would have thought you'd be way more invested in that but apparently not.
Yeah,
you're way more of a psychopath.
But I guess it makes sense that the guy that knows so much about narcissism has a lot of narcissism.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me. The only thing that surprised me on my chart was that my narcissism was higher than my psychopathy. And if you'd asked me, I would have said I'm probably because I'm reckless. When I'm bad, when I'm in a bad state, I'm very, very reckless. So I just thought I was psychopathic. But actually, perhaps the narcissist in me is protecting the psychopaths and keeps it regulated. Don't kill them all. Don't leave a few survivors.
What I don't understand is how I scored so much on greed. But I don't think I'm greedy. I don't think there's much greediness within me. But apparently, I have a lot of it.
Let's see now. So not much greed in you. Well, Pierre, it's literally impossible to score higher for greed.
I know. So what am I greedy about?
And the entitlement as well seems to be, I think it's maxed.
Okay, the entitlement thing, I get it. All right. I understand the entitlement thing. Other than that, the greed thing, don't really understand it.
Because you're thinking of material greed. Now let's think about flipping.
I'm giving my heart and soul to all of my flips, Richard, to make others happy. I'm flipping
for the greedy for ass, man.
I'm flipping for ass. You're acting like a lot of these beautiful people aren't asking for it.
It's I'm not sure what the red line is. Do you know what your overall ranking was? I got for the whole dark core personality, I was slightly past 50%. I think I was at like 64%.
Oh, so wait, it says right here. It says in the middle of it.
Oh, there it is.
Of course. Hey, what number am I? Look at mine.
69. Fucking Flip Lord is 69.
Flip Lord scores 69.
Flip Lord does a narcissism test. How narcissistic am I? 69.
Oh shit. Well,
so there you go. There you go, folks. We are.
So you said this was a new test, like this wasn't like a thing that's been around?
It's a test from 2018.
Oh,
but
shit.
What I like is you would like if you're testing for borderline or narcissism up until now, it's binary. You either are or are not. It's one or two. And the way they rate that is they equally weight 9 traits, like these 8 traits. And they either go yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, he does, and that's it. If you get 6, I think if you get 6 out of 9, or it might be 4 out of 9. I haven't read the research for a while. Then that's it. You have narcissistic personality disorder.
Okay.
Boom. Done.
Yeah. See, this is the issue that I've always noticed with this too, because I think every single person, no matter how healthy they are, they share a little bit of the traits that's within the spectrum. Right. And the tests are so linear that it's like the average individual would be considered narcissistic because everybody has a little bit of it, apparently more than others, because I got a lot of greed and entitlement, but you know what I mean.
But for narcissism, I'm massively more narcissistic than you. You're not at all. This is the interesting thing. I think you've got almost zero narcissism. Almost
Yeah,
zero. It's
how does that
noticeably small.
what does that mean? How is that even possible? See, I'm not Machiavellianist. I am not morally disengaged and narcissistic or without an ego,
Hmm.
but I have the others.
Uh, yeah.
What the fuck?
I mean, you are. This is the other interesting thing: is you are slightly more of a psychopath than I am. I don't know if you noticed that. You're one move up the web line. You're more of a psychopath than I am,
You
just
know,
slightly.
okay, so this is what I wanted to bring up to you. Some of the questions within the thing I would have answered really differently 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
Stuff like, would you feel good if someone who did you wrong uh, had justice served, or what? Like, I don't know the right wording
A
for it.
dick fell off. Would you
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
good?
If somebody who did you wrong, their dick fell off or their fucking whatever fell off, like, would you feel good about it? And nowadays I would say yes, but before I wouldn't as much. Or questions such as like, do you think that people are on standard nice and good? And 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I would say like everybody's like fairly okay. But then nowadays, I'm like, I don't know, life experience comes in the way. Then you're just kind of like, meh. Or like, would you feel bad if this happened? Where before I would definitely be a lot more graceful and lenient with my judgment, but nowadays I'm really hard lined with things.
Like, no, fuck that. There's no mercy. There's no excuse for that shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, like would you feel sympathy for those who and before I would have been like, yes, they deserve so much better, but nowadays I'm just like, no. I mean, like, they
Yeah.
brought it on themselves or whatever the hell.
Yeah. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, fuck them, man.
Yeah. No, you do change over time. I don't put that much stock in personality tests. But it is interesting. It's interesting to see. I mean, there'll be people out there who would have been up once. I think once you're up at like 70, 75%, 80%, you're looking at somebody who's potentially quite dangerous. I mean, they just would be unbearable to be around.
Right, right. I mean, I a lot of what I would think that why I scored so high on the psychopathy and sadism and what is this? Self-centeredness is my defense mechanisms and responses to the so-called situations that I was in throughout the years, where I was like no longer going to people please. Instead, I'll go the complete opposite way and just be like, you know what? They do their own shit. It's their fucking fault. I don't feel bad at all. No empathy, no remorse for them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Which is, yeah, I think a lot of these things are more likely to be strategies and responses to trauma than actual personality types. Which brings me to the next topic. I was going to suggest that about the halfway point, maybe at 30 minutes, we invite some people in. What do you think about that? We
Sure.
invite people in to talk with us.
Okay, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, is that cool?
Should I remove my desktop screen?
You may.
Yes, and I also want to talk about the rising fascism, so we can tie in both topics.
Let's talk about the rising fascism. How are you doing in Prague for fascism?
Well, they're letting go of the lockdown slowly but surely. Within the next few weeks, they're unveiling like a 5-week plan to open up all the shops and shit again.
Right.
But I'm just more like, well, all these other places are going a lot heavier, like Hungary and all these other places, and reading people's YouTube comments on the fact that people want authoritarianism, and it drives me fucking crazy.
Yes, people who are scared usually will want like a strict daddy to come along and fix everything and make it okay again, which is the danger of these times. I was telling Pierre before, my entire WhatsApp froze, couldn't delete it. Then when I eventually did manage to take it off and then reinstall it, instead of restoring as it always has done, it actually deleted all my videos, all my pictures, and all of my contacts within WhatsApp, which is really strange, really, really unusual. WhatsApp is Facebook, right?
Yes, it's Facebook owned, and actually Facebook owns Instagram too.
So What I've heard, and I'm pretty sure it was in the news, is that they're looking at changing the law so that on WhatsApp, if you're forwarding too many conspiracy theories, they will restrict your ability to forward messages.
Wow. So it's going to be signed into law.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is fascism.
So
Cool.
previously, where WhatsApp was encrypted end to end, which meant that drug dealers, human traffickers, pedophiles could use it, and the police would be like, "Oh, there's nothing, we can't say it, so there's nothing we can do about that." But if you exchange conspiracy theories, now it's changed. Now you can see into WhatsApp. This is what happens when they have emergency powers during emergency situations. The boundaries get shattered.
Unbelievable. Guys, if anyone here right now, I want you to try an experiment and just try to send David Icke's banned YouTube interview from his website to anybody on Facebook or Instagram, because my friend tried to send it to one of his friends, and you literally get a notification saying this link is bypasses the guidelines of Instagram or Facebook's guidelines. Like, I can show you the notification image right here. It's actually quite terrifying.
That's insane. Sage Chemist says, "Who decides what is a conspiracy theory? Daddy does."
If you guys look up David Icke live London Real interview and send that link to somebody on Instagram or Facebook, you'll get this notification here. You probably won't be able to read it, but hopefully you can read the title. It says link not allowed. It straight up says link not allowed. It looks like your profile contains a link that is not allowed. We restrict certain content and actions to protect our community. Tell us if we made a mistake. So this is also on Facebook Messenger, on Instagram. I want to maybe you should try sending it to me when you have the time, that same link on WhatsApp, and see
Want to
if,
get tagged any more than I am? What are you talking about? I'm
you're
already in
taking the
trouble.
fall. You're our savior.
I ain't saving shit. I ain't saving shit.
You saving shit.
I've done my bit now. I won't be making any grand sacrifices for the cause. I'm just watching this thing unfold at the moment, but it is surprising. It is surprising to see these new rules come in for this subject, for this thing, where they didn't do it for human traffickers, they didn't do it for pedophiles, but they will do it for David Icke links. I'm like,
That's
wow.
yeah, right. That's really weird. That I didn't even think about it in that context. Like, what takes the government to be involved in censorship? No, not human trafficking, not gun smuggling, none of that. Okay, how about an interview?
Yep.
It's just an interview. There's
Yep.
flat Earth interviews that weren't banned when they came out. Why is this one so damn dangerous?
It's crazy because that's been my point from the beginning, is like, if it's a crazy conspiracy theorist, because people have gone, "Oh, it's unscientific and it's dangerous," and I'm like, well, what about all the stuff to do with medicine and vaccines? And some people say do take this drug, some people say don't. That's not, you couldn't argue that that's scientific, and that's potentially dangerous. They nowhere near bans that stuff. We've been allowed to say whatever the hell we want for years, but this one thing, and I think the one thing. Do you know what the one thing was in the interview that caused it to be banned? Did we ask Richard last week what it was?
No, but it's the narrative is that he's saying that COVID isn't real, but
Right.
there's more to that sentence than what it says at face value.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the problem. I don't think it should have been approached in that way, because that was implied, but it's not exactly he was saying is that the testing for COVID is unreliable, and
Yeah.
then they kind of skipped to the conclusion that it's not real, which I understand why they would use that as the statement, but like, it's definitely, there's a bit more nuance to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there was a problem around the 5G element of it, particularly. They really, really don't, and they're looking at changing the law here for that as well. Like, if you say, I think if you write online that there's a link between 5G and illness, you get in trouble for that as well. Their justification is that 5G towers are being burned and destroyed, so it could be seen as inciting a disturbance of the peace or something like that. So yeah, you're not allowed to link those two either, which makes me paranoid as fuck. Because that makes me go, well, why would you ban that if there's nothing to it?
It's one thing if you want to, let's just say, moderate the feed of Instagram and Facebook, the public feed that everybody gets to see. You got to keep that clean. You don't want images of abused animals and whatever else on that. Okay, that's totally fine. But this, first of all, isn't abused animals. Second of all, these were DMs, direct messages that were private. They're not on the public feed. You're just sending links to your friends.
Yeah.
And they have an algorithm that reads directly into your private messages that knows what you're posting and then censors it.
Yeah.
And then now we don't know if WhatsApp is the situation, but like if it gets that crazy, then wow, that's something to worry about.
I wonder if they've ever seen all the pictures of your feet that you sent to me.
Well, they definitely have, but that's no longer a conspiracy theory.
Your feet are out there.
They're out there and the world knows.
Pierre's naked feet. We have a special WhatsApp group just for Pierre's feet for people to look at.
They have more power than any 5G ever would, man.
Toes of the Illuminati.
You know what? Release them. I guarantee we'll have a shift in mindset the moment those come out.
Definitely. The consciousness of the planet will raise up. I've been doing 75 hard again.
Yes.
Trying to get myself back into that Ibiza shape, because I have to take progress pictures for that. And I looked at a progress picture of after 60 days of doing 75 hard in Ibiza. I nearly wept when I saw it. I was like, why don't I look like that now? What the fuck happened?
That was only a year ago, though, no?
October. Like, what is that?
That's not that long ago.
Not that long ago. So November, December, January, February, March. So all it's taken is a couple of months in Prague, drinking and eating steak. And
that's why you're not moving here out here.
A couple of months on my back with my knee, and I'm like, but I'm the same weight. So what I learned, because I only saw this yesterday, you can be 88 kg, but there's an 88 kg, and then there's 88 kg. And in Ibiza last year, I was like 88 kg, whereas now I'm like 88 kg.
Damn, quarantine's hitting you hard, man.
Yeah. So I'm back on it. Should we get some of these people in? Should I offer them the link? See if people want to join us?
Yeah. Well, what I want to say is, did you see the Instagram story of the Indian beatings? Like in India, they're beating people on the street with canes, like to go inside. And then everybody in the comments are like, I wish America would do this. I wish Turkey would do this. Everyone's just naming their own country and be like, I wish it would happen here. They know how to solve it, right? No, why don't we get that here? Why don't we?
I wish people would have their human rights abused in my country. Where's my torture?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And then I'm seeing all these fucking people defending, but it's just for our safety. You don't understand. These are necessary violence in order to send us the message. No one will listen.
It's all for our safety. We have to keep you safe from this drug that might give you a cough and it might kill you, and we'll kill you even if it means we have to save you. We're going to kill your ass to save you, you freak. Please don't kill me, officer. It's either this or the cough. What do you want? Maybe the cough. Shut up. It's gone.
Yeah, it's so crazy. These people think that they're the ones that won't get beaten. You know what I mean? They think they're the ones that are in the right, and these people with the sticks will look at them and be like, you know what? I trust you. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I like your cop voice. That's a good cop voice. That's a good American cop voice. Go on now. Go ahead.
Go on. You're fighting for the right side. I get it. Go on.
Pull your pants up and go about your business. Steph, are you ready to come on? Okay, Steph is jumping into our dimension.
What's up, guys? Pretty good. As Richard said, I haven't been working out for I would say 2-3 weeks. But before that, I've been working out for 2 months straight or something. Able to do 9 proper pull-ups in a row. Had a clear well, not really clear, but pretty clear 6-pack. Now everything is just
like a duvet cover.
Exactly. And the one question that I have is that with Instagram, censoring certain links, through DMs. Do you think there would ever come a time where there's a social app that's just neutral, that where freedom of speech would essentially be allowed? Because you see these people promoting certain applications, but they're really small. Like, people advertise it on YouTube and then it ends up not blowing up. So do you think that will ever happen?
You could only get that through Android. You couldn't get it through Apple. I've tried to get apps through Apple, and they're so stringent that you'd never get it through. Like, if they said to them, we must have a backdoor. We need like, say if the government says no more apps with no backdoor access, that's not happening anymore. Where's the backdoor on that app? We need to have access to it. Android, you might get away with it maybe for a year or two, but in Apple, you wouldn't even get validated. They wouldn't even give you the app. With Android, there's not that much qualification, but with Apple, it's really stringent. So they check everything that's going into your app before they release it. So I wouldn't put too much hope, too much faith in apps, man.
Yeah. So even before putting out the app, the actual, like, I mean, a new app, as in another Instagram, like Apple itself checks the content of it and whether it should be uploaded.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard getting an app up. Really tough.
I think a lot of apps and websites start off completely free of censorship. For example, like YouTube was really free of any type of regulation at all. It was actually the most free platform that you can find for a really long time. But eventual growth will lead to, let's just say, investors and the Illuminati.
Corporatization.
Yeah. That's it. And at this point, we have like the top 5 or 6 websites and apps that are giant monopolies that are going to be really, really hard to find alternatives for. Like, everyone's like saying, let's go to BitChute, the alternative to YouTube. But it's like, you go on there and you just see a bunch of like ambiguous, almost racist content that was directed towards like a specific political party.
What do you mean, Pierre? BitChute, willkommen.
Yeah. So it's like, I think alternatives are just going to direct towards like a really small subculture, and for it to grow past, it's going to be really difficult. And the only other new app that was supposed to be like that was TikTok, which is now the most censored and Chinese-owned mainstream app at the moment. So I mean, maybe it could come around, but like, if it gets big enough, they're gonna find ways to make money off it and have the government like put their toe in it.
Yeah, I feel like the apps that are able for people to express themselves and say whatever, maybe like hit someone up to kill someone or something, it's like extremely small, like no one knows about it. So that's the only way I can see with apps where you can express yourself.
Right. So like the whole situation with BitChute kind of ended up like that, where a lot of people felt like, oh, I can't say this racist shit on YouTube. I'm going to go to BitChute so I can speak my mind, you know, so it's attracting those people. But maybe it'll change in a few years. But I think right now, it's rocky. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to go now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steph. Thanks for coming on, my mate. Cheers. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? Like the most, it'll always be the most extreme people who would need that first. And you know, there have been cases of people being kicked off YouTube where they didn't deserve it. But BitChute at the moment seems to be a receptacle for right-wing white nationalists.
That's right.
And,
when I looked at it, because people recommended it to me too, and I look at it like, if I put my goddamn face on this website, I'm gonna get the FBI and get doxxed so fast.
But the thing is, those people who are there, they believe in freedom of speech.
Right.
So they would be like, well, if you want to put videos up there of you dancing around in your underpants, then they should be down for that. Because though I'm using right-wing white nationalists, what a lot of them are is libertarians. They're libertarians who get branded as nationalists. So there's a rebranding that's going on. But you know, I speak to people like that more regularly now, and they don't help themselves because they don't know how to do branding. They don't know how to not look crazy.
Right. And my freedom of speech to be in my underpants on BitChute also requires their freedom of speech to call me insert racial slur here as well. You know what I mean?
Could we go on BitChute, you and me, and pretend it's TikTok? And just be like 2 videos of us doing these shit dances that people do on TikTok?
What happened to freedom of speech? You said this is what I can say on
This
it.
is what I want to be free to do. I want to. Why can't me and Pierre, my beautifully make-up boyfriend, dance in our underpants? It's our goddamn freedom of speech, son.
The last thing I need is Hillary Clinton, SJW, the trans man to be the booty to be
Couple of
on
fags.
a couple of fags on one thing, you know. Oh God, it's just there's no winning, man.
Chandra, are you ready to come on? You look like you're walking around the room. I'm going to jump you in.
Oh God.
I'm trying to get better sick. I don't know. It's like all staticky.
You're
Hello.
on, Chandra. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
So what are you up
I don't
to?
So, hey.
I took the test.
Hey.
That's what I'm up to. I've never been on one of these things. I've never even done a live stream, like watched a live chat. I've never even, so.
Oh, okay. Did you have like a question for us or something?
No, not really. I didn't know. So
Okay.
I'm in the wrong place. No, I don't right now.
All right. Well, it was good to meet you, Chandra. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, good to put me on there.
Cheers. See you later.
That was cute.
Somebody said, "Where is the lizard test?" I actually don't have
here.
Okay,
I got it.
Pierre's going to hit you with the link.
With the link. So do you think?
I never think. It hurts my brain.
Dude, I'm really disappointed with this generation and how much they want fascism, man.
You
That was
mean
my
your generation or the kids, the younger ones, like Gen?
They all want the same shit, dude. All of them want the same thing. They all was like, it's for our safety, dude. What kind of fucking? Oh, come on, man.
They're probably on just let the world go back to normal. They're so young. They're just like, this feels like being grounded. Let me out. On that Contagion movie that you got me to watch, it was interesting that one of the storylines was Matt Damon's daughter kicking off about being in prison for 144 days.
Right.
And he was like, well, there's nothing I can do. And she watches the news, waiting for the lockdown to be told it's going to end. And she's like, fuck, we're going to miss spring. We're going to miss summer. I don't get to go to prom. And so I imagine these kids are like, yeah, beat the fuck out of people who break the rules. And let's get it done. That's their motivation, I think.
But it's weird because I feel like they're not even that frustrated with it. They're more like, you know what, we'll just bring the police in and they'll solve it and we'll be okay with just sitting inside. It's for the greater good. It's kind of like the Wobble Garming's virtue signaling thing to actually want the fascism to take place.
There's a guy called Michael here who says, I don't know whoever I know from my generation is like, eat the rich, not beat me up, police daddy, which is a weirdly specific fetish.
Yes, but it's both, man. They at the same time they want to eat the rich and they want to speak their mind and be free to express themselves and no boundaries and no labels, but at the same time they want the police to hit people to send a message to be safe.
That's a strange yeah, I see your point. Those two injunctions don't match. They're incongruent in injunctions. Tully is on. Should we have Tully on? Tully, are you ready?
Yes.
I'm praying that your signal works, Tully.
Me too.
Praying.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to have you on. It seems stable this time.
I just want to say how much fun I'm having being a blatant curmudgeon about all the young folks, because I've been a curmudgeon since I was 4.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been 80 years old since I was this tall.
Nice.
So it's nice to complain about young people and their TikToks and their Instagram.
Yep. This whole, I think that you said it when it's like being grounded and they're just tired of being grounded. It's not their fault even. It's just that they're young and they don't know. They're just dumb. It's not really their fault.
Yeah.
But
you know, my line with it is that a lot of them I would say are a bit more aware that they want to be a part of the social political discussion, and they think they're doing things for the greater good and all of these things. But it's so, let's just say, nearsighted in a way. Like they don't see the other element that's just right above that. So
Yeah,
I
I mean, when I was 12 or whatever, I certainly wasn't any smarter. Yeah. I wanted to be cool and enlightened and say smart things and whatever was nearby.
I think Pierre's talking to people a bit older than that. They're like 18, 19, 20, 21.
Oh, okay.
And and a lot of them are university educated, which is what's frightening, is that he's got an educated following. And they know, you can see when you see their comments to him that they know the language of the political discourse, but the conclusion they still come to is beat people up who break the quarantine. And it's like, damn.
You mean the government-funded schools didn't teach them to question the government? I'm confused.
Yeah, they lack critical thinking. I'm as shocked as anybody here, I tell you.
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, if they come on my lawn, I will be very glad to tell them to get off my lawn. Because they're mudging.
Make sure you point a shotgun. They'll really get the point across too.
I'm going to be the weird neighbor with snakes. I'll scare them away with my snakes.
Nice.
I can deal with that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Tolly, it was good to have you on at last.
Have fun.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I think that's the issue, isn't it? Is where you've got people who should know better. The young people who should know better, they do seem to understand what's going on, and there is still just this desire for it not to go on.
Today, I watched two YouTubers that I heavily respect. I really like their videos. They're very self-aware and very unbiased and very balanced with their viewpoints. They released a video today saying you should snitch more. The whole understating thing beneath everything was like, you know what, I'm going to start snitching on my neighbors. I hope everyone starts snitching, because here's the thing: if people are going to be partying and doing their own thing, you do realize that they're putting other people's health at risk right now. So I highly recommend everybody to snitch right now. And these are not like extreme leaning people on one side or the other, man. Like, these are pretty level-headed individuals, and they're heavily promoting the concept of snitching.
Maybe they're paid. Maybe they're being paid. Have they got quite big followings?
No, no. I don't think they're not like Rogan.
They're not like 21 million or something.
No. They're still pretty small. You know, I mean, they're two minorities as well, and it's just like they're saying it as if it's like a good thing, greater good for the people to snitch. And I'm gonna start snitching on people. If I see people partying across the street, I'm gonna start snitching. I hope everybody here. And then even in the comments, they said, if you snitch and you send us a photo or a video of you snitching on your neighbors, we're gonna send you a gift.
Yeah, man. I love the world we're slipping into. Yay. This is what it's all about, Pierre. I've been waiting for this kind of Stalinistic style, totalitarian, statist, fascist, technocracy for such a long time, and now it's here, and I'm delighted.
So how are you going to save us all, Richard?
Oh, fuck you all. I tried for 7 years. Nobody wanted to listen to me.
That's true. That is true. Hey, that's exactly why you scored high on the sadism part over here, man.
That's right. So, like I've been saying to people, you need to own your own consciousness. You need to stop letting other people provoke your feelings. You got to learn to think critically. Nah, we don't want to do that. Oh, well, here we are. End of the apocalypse. Stacey, you ready to come on? Are you drinking gin? It's a big jar of gin.
Yummy.
No, it's water. Gin's
how are you doing?
I'm fine. It's nice to speak with you again, Richard, and it's nice to meet you, Pierre.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
What I wanted to ask you guys about is this subject of reluctant heroes. Have either of you ever seen the movie Key Largo?
No.
It's an old movie, Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall. There's a bad guy in it, a gangster, and he's escaped the country to Cuba. He's coming back into the country through the Florida Keys, that's Key Largo. He takes everyone at a hotel hostage. And there are several good guys that want to fight him. An old man wants to fight him because he's a bad gangster and he's going to hurt people. But the old man tries to fight him, collapses because he's an invalid. He can't fight him. Lauren Bacall's character wants to fight him. She tries to scratch him and punch him ineffectually. He just laughs her off. A brave cop tries to fight him, but he's naive, so he gets deceived and killed. The two people that end up fighting the bad guy are both they've given up hope. One's a woman who's dove into an alcohol bottle years ago and hasn't come out. And then we have Humphrey Bogart, who's back from World War I, and he's even asked in the movie, like, what does he want? And he had hopes for a world where there wasn't room for Johnny Rocco, but he's given up. Now, these two end up being our heroes, but I think the same reason that they've given up is the same reason they end up being the heroes, is because they've both seen real evil. And they know to fight evil, sometimes a good man has to do evil things. Right? So Pierre, you're a really good example, right? I hear you say oftentimes you're more of a make love, not war kind of guy, right? But when a thief came across your path, you clotheslined him and tackled him to the ground. Right? Sure. So this is my question. Sometimes good men have to do what they would normally consider bad things for a good outcome, or they hope. Like in the movie, they have to steal and kill to win. How much evil can a good man do before he becomes the bad guy?
Right. That's a great question.
I think faith with that in times to come.
It's an interesting question because up until this point in the UK and America have done it as well. We talk about the war with the coronavirus. Boris Johnson is trying to invoke the ghost of Winston Churchill to get us through this. And I'm like, this is not that. There is no identifiable enemy. There's nothing we can do. So your question has been answered, and has been answered historically. In times of war, psychopaths and narcissists who are willing to protect the tribe join special forces or engage in special operations. It'll either be psychological warfare or special forces warfare, which is always fighting dirty. It's cutting people's throat in the night. It's gassing them. It's attacking the civilian population to break their will. So that question has been answered. And I'm sure if we were talking about the Germans or the Koreans or whoever else, we'd be able to answer that and it would be much easier. This is not that. Who's the enemy? Well, here it's either a virus I can't see, which has the strangest manifestation of any virus anybody's ever seen. Some people it kills, some people it does nothing to. Some, you know, and you're getting all this conflicting information about it. So then it's like the virus is the enemy, or disinformation is the enemy, or panic is the enemy, or the government is the enemy, or China is the enemy. And we're all just sat here going, I don't know. What's the end result? Overwhelm. Information overload typically leads to passivity, because in the end you just go, I don't know. There's so much information to sift, so many conflicting testimonies, so much emotion flowing around, you just don't know what to do. So to flip the question on its head is, even if a good man is prepared to do bad, and in this situation, what can one do? What's the bad on the table? Because if you say to me, listen, you may have to slit the throats of Nazi officers in their sleep, I'll go, I'll gird up my loins and do a bad thing for this. Is not that. This is not that. There is, in fact, we may have even transcended moral boundaries here, because what can one do? What are the options? There doesn't seem to be any.
Oh, it's fascinating. Transcending moral boundaries. I think right now, especially the community at large has a really hard time with nuance when it comes to morality. It's either good or bad. I think a good representation of that is superhero movies in general. It's like a clear-cut good and bad person, and everyone likes to think that they're on the good side. And then a lot of times when people do evil things and bad things, they never justify it as an evil thing. It's like, I'm doing this for the greater good. I mean, like Richard was saying that a lot of these psychopaths and murderers get enlisted to become these abusers within the forces. But also, a lot of the people that were doing the executions and running the concentration camps were just German citizens that got indoctrinated in this particular Nazi mindset, and they thought they were helping the country. and all of these things. And a lot of these people, they didn't have the mindset of, I'm going to punish someone because I like the way it feels, or maybe some, but I think a good majority of them were just like, this is for good. There's no nuance here. I am the superhero. I'm Spider-Man. I'm Iron Man. You know, I'm Batman, and I'm doing something good for the country or myself or my family or things along those lines.
Yeah, I think that the other thing in that time that would help them was they had a homeland and they had goodness. So they had goodness behind them and evil ahead of them. You defeat the evil and you get to go home. Good. You don't defeat the evil, you die here, but your home is protected. Very clear. We don't have a homeland now. People are saying to me about going back to normal, and I'm like, I don't want normal. Our normal is poison. Our normal that everybody is praying we get back to is poison that kills people. It tortures them to death. And everybody's like, yeah, let's get that back. Like, I'm not down for that, man. I'm not. It's a strange time to be a narcissist. 2020 pandemic. Do you have any solutions, Stacey, that you've been thinking of?
The only answer I thought of was, well, it depends. Depends on the good guy. Depends on the bad guy. Depends on the evil that needs to be done. Depends on the fight.
What do you think is the fight here? Do you think we're fighting against the disease, or do you think we're fighting propaganda?
Very good question. I think mostly we are, we're fighting ideology. And this binary ideology where it's all on this side or it's all on this side, and you've got to make up your mind which side you're on. And very dangerous thinking, because the answer usually is it depends, and there are nuances and you have to think them through. And so I think, well, that's what we're fighting, non-thinking. Non-thinking. But I'm not quite sure how to get people to think, at least among my friends. I don't have civil discourses about difficult subjects that can be discussed. It's not like we put the subject on the table and go, okay, now let's define terms and then discuss our values and just decide if this situation is meeting our values and how you feel about it and what you think about it. And let me understand you first. I don't get that. I get Trump sucks. Shut up.
Yeah. It's so there are some identifiable evils, or at least blocks in the scenario, and that would be one of them, is that we're in a post-conversation, post-philosophy, post-thought age, and that is a problem. And it could be a part of the pandemic. Sam Vaknin has suggested that a number of times. Is his view is there is a virus, it has multiple strains, and that what we're looking at is just broad-scale incompetence and total panic. Like the government have just shit themselves, and we're now watching them fumble the ball massively. Which, if it is that, I would be happy. I would say good. That means standard bureaucratic, lazy, bumbling idiots are doing the best that they can, and there's nothing more evil than that that's going on, and I would be relieved.
Yes, well, that would be a relief if that's the situation, but it does definitely feel more like, everybody look at this, because we're over here actually doing this, and we don't know what they're actually up to until it's revealed, and I don't know what that's going to be. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Q conspiracy? QAnon? No? Oh, I'm not the person to talk about it here, but there's and I don't know enough about it, but it's people who believe that there is a plan, and that the coronavirus is part of the plan. They've been talking about this since before the coronavirus, that it's Trump with certain elements of the military are going to take out Democrats who happen to be blood drinking pedophiles as well. And I'm like, this is the kind of thing that makes psychologists write off conspiracy theory, because even though it sounds awful, you're still applying order to the world where perhaps there is none.
Right.
So which is more frightening, bloodthirsty pedophile Democrats or chaos? At least with the Democrats who are pedophiles who drink blood, there's identifiable enemies. You could shoot them in the head and then that problem would be over. With chaos, you can't shoot in the head.
Right.
Well, it's very nice having you on. We came to no conclusions, but that's what good philosophy is all about.
That's exactly right. All right, you guys have a great day.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
And that's how fascism begins, right? Trying to make sense of chaos.
Well, yeah, exactly. Fascism. I've been reading up about fascism a lot more recently. There's like proper academic definitions of fascism, and then there's how fascism is played out in history. So there's a lot of argument about what fascism is and isn't. But typically, there's a huge dangerous threat or an enemy, like communists or Russians or Bolsheviks. You then declare an emergency state. You then declare that everybody within the state must work as one to fight the virus, the enemy.
Hey, actually, I'm gonna pull up the characteristics of fascism because I did the same thing last week.
Okay.
I looked up the characteristics, and guess what? We hit every single one.
Every single one. Yeah. Because we haven't actually had this conversation, have we? It's just
we haven't. I've been wanting to talk to you about
thing.
these things for like the longest time, man. Like this stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
The 14 main characteristics of fascism. Let me just make sure that. Okay, yeah, this is a good article. Powerful and continuing nationalism. Right. Number 2, disdain.
Closing the national boundaries to keep the evil virus carriers out.
Disdain for the recognition of human rights. We're going to beat the shit out of you if you just step outside.
Right.
3, identification of enemies/scapegoats as a unifying cause. Snitch on your neighbors. They're being irresponsible. Supremacy of the military. Oh, we need
more now on our streets.
Yeah, we need more military and police to keep us safe. This. I don't know about this one. Rampant sexism. It's kind of interesting that this is this is within the trades.
Yeah, I think communism did have a bit of it as well, but it was fascism. Like Mussolini and Hitler's fascism was like, this is your job. You make babies who become soldiers who fight for us. So yeah, it would be sexist.
Number 6, controlled mass media.
Right.
Let's remove interviews off of YouTube and ban the links on Facebook and Instagram private DMs.
Yeah.
Number 7, obsession with national security. We need to keep us safe. Number 8, this doesn't apply that much, but religion and government are intertwined. Number 9, corporate power is protected. Number 10, labor power is suppressed. Who's got a job? 11, disdain for intellectuals and the arts. Oh, that's going to come. That's going to come. Obsession with crime and punishment. 13, rampant, I don't know this, you have to explain this to me. Rampant cronyism and corruption.
You just look after your mates. It's like Hitler had a group of mates who were in the same secret society gang together. They were gangsters. They were just his buddies, and they all got into the top levels of positions of power because he'd been promising them for years. Then we take over. You will be the master of this. You'll be the master of that. That's cronyism. Your cronies, your homies. Homieism, we'll call it.
All right. 14, fraudulent elections. Hungary, China, and a lot of others at the moment.
Yeah.
So
here we are, kids. Welcome to 2020. You thought going to war with Iran was on the cards and that was bad. Fuck you. This is the thing.
It's just, oh my God, man. I'm just speechless when people deny it. They think that we're not in an authoritarian or fascist situation.
We've got another couple of people to come on, and then I'm going to have to bounce. Shall I have these two people on? We'll have a quick chat with them. Faisal? Can you hear me, sir? We can't hear you, my mate.
Good evening, Richard.
Oh,
Good
hello.
evening, Pierre.
How are you?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Hi there. How you doing? How you guys doing? You okay?
Doing
good, thank you.
Yes, I can hear you. No.
Do you have a question, sir?
I I just wanted to make an observation about Sam Vaknin. I don't know if you know, but I don't know if you know, but
We lost you, Faisal. Sorry, mate. We can't hear
a,
you
a
right
lot
now.
of his COVID-19 videos have been taken off of YouTube.
Right.
And what I've found is, I'm sorry about this, but there's a lot of echoing, so I think I'm sort of listening to myself again. But what I was going to say is Sam Vaknin's videos, which were really, really brilliant because they were almost like an alternative to the talking heads on mainstream media, and they've taken off literally everything that Sam has said about COVID-19 and the way the talking head doctors on media
But
are
they haven't
talking
taken off
about
literally
the
everything.
actual.
They haven't taken off literally everything. They've taken off a few of his videos.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got the impression that they're taking it off, but right.
I think you've just nailed exactly why they did, though, which is that he was becoming an alternative to the news. And if there is an agenda here, and who am I to suggest there is one? It seems to be we tell the people what's happening. Anybody else who tries, get rid of them. Get rid of them. Seems like we lost you again there, Faisal. Sorry about that, my mate. Maybe next time we'll have a slightly stronger signal.
So actually, YouTube came out with a new list of guidelines for COVID-19 videos. The ones that will be demonetized has a few rules. So right here, it will definitely be demonetized if you show images of people being sick in hospitals or with people in distress, people being forcibly removed from their location. I have the list open here.
Okay.
And then a few other guidelines are...
Whoa. If you show people forcibly being removed from a place, then you'll be demonetized or banned?
Yeah, let's say. Yeah, demonetized. But I mean, they'll probably remove a few too, though, depending on how violent.
I hope there's not too many videos going to come out of people being forcibly removed from locations. Why would they expect there to be videos of people being forcibly removed? That's a strange thing to predict.
Yeah, right? It's a really specific list. Like, here's a few more. So any videos that talk about the government creating the virus as a bioweapon, another one, corporations created the virus, another one, COVID-19 is spread via 5G technology, COVID-19 targets certain ethnic groups, content that claims that the pandemic is a hoax, a cover-up, or deliberate attack. So stuff like that is going to be specifically demonetized now.
Can you send me that on email afterwards?
I'll actually post it in the chat right now.
Thank you.
And I'll send it to the private chat here on StreamYard too, so you can get a look at it.
Raisa says, Richard and Pierre, have you guys discussed vaccines that may be ready by September? No, we haven't.
Well,
I was told that was impossible.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about this too, man. I had a really brief private group chat a few nights ago on this idea of the vaccine. Would you take it or not, knowing the information you do?
Me?
Yes.
Dude, I won't be able to come to Prague. I won't be able to go to America to see my sister unless I take it. I'll have no choice.
Exactly, right? So you would do it because you don't really have a choice.
When they take hold, when they'll take my passport and then I'll hand it over. They'll take it away from me and they'll go, "This is not a medical passport. Where's your medical passport? Where are your virals? We need to know, have you ever had it? Do you have the strain? And do you have the, it's not just your passport. They'll want the app on my phone. There's an app coming. It's already there in China. They've talked about rolling it out in Prague, right? And in Moravia as well. Moldova or Moravia?
Yeah, Moldova.
Yeah, we'll have an app. So if I don't have an app and I don't have my vaccine and I have my passport, I won't be able to travel.
Yeah, and that's exactly the question I proposed. I mean, hypothetically, it'd be great if we can just stand our ground and say no. They'll let us not take it, but there are going to be so many benefits / consequences that they'll lay out in order to get us to take it. So say, for example, you can only start working again, you can only start traveling again if you take it. So
Right.
would you take it then? Because you can say no. We can let you. You know, you don't have to take it, but just let you know you probably won't get hired at a new job. You probably won't make a return, and we're gonna have to limit your travels quite heavily here as well.
Yeah, and it will be presented as for other people's safety. Everything will be for other people's safety. You're potentially a time bomb that could shut down the American economy. So we're not telling you can't go to America, but we're just not giving you a visa today.
That's it. Like, I mean, it makes sense, right? It's like, okay, I want to get a passport. Well, we need to check your health status right now to make sure you're not contagious. Oh, by the way, we actually have this new technology that will allow us to read your vitals and know exactly what your blood type is and everything that your body needs, and if you're actually immune to this disease. But it's actually within the vaccine itself, and we're able to read that if you take the shot. Like, what do you mean? Oh, there's actually like technology within the vaccine that allows us to read the vitals. Wait, what do you mean? You know, it just makes everything, it speeds it up. That way we can flatten the curve and not have so many people coming to the hospital at once, because when we can just scan your wrist, and have all of your vital information, we don't have to look for your papers.
Yeah.
And you can actually download the information on our app here as well. So now we have all the information about
That's
you.
good. That's good. Okay, so here's what I would do if I was them. I would start saying, maybe in a month's time, you have the press, the mainstream media, you have them say, we found that there's a specific signal that your body gives, a temperature, a hormone, antibody that's released when COVID-19 is present, and that's what they're going to test for. There isn't a test as such. There's a test for the signals. You want to make it general. If you want to control people, you make it general. They're like, there's a certain heart rate, so we need to know your heart rate. There's a certain blood pressure, so we need to know your blood. We need to know it now. We need to know it immediately at all times.
And here's the thing, you know, as you can see, we have a shortage on testing kits and they're 80% unreliable. However, if we're able to have the technology within you and give us the technological signal from it, it's actually 120 times more accurate. Therefore, we should probably rely on this more than the archaic caveman technology to see if you have it.
Medical passports, baby. So I wouldn't have a choice. Like if I want to see my nephews and shit, and they said vaccine or no travel, I might have a bit of a whinge about it, but ultimately I would come around somewhere justifying it because I want to see my nephews. I want to be able to go to Prague. I want to be able to travel and all the rest of it.
You're going to get that pink check mark on your Facebook name to see that you.
That's what it is. Blue check mark to be verified. Pink check mark for your medical checks. Anna, can you hear us?
Yeah.
How
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, Annie.
Oh, hey. Okay. So you said about something about the young people wanting fascism, which is, you know, a terrible thing to say, at least to me. And I wanted to bring the discussion. So the fact that I was born in peace and I can hear myself, this is, I understand the other guy. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was born in peace. I only saw peace up until now. I only had to fight for my grades in school. That was the only thing I ever had to encounter that was against me.
What, sorry?
In peace.
In peace?
Better now?
No.
Okay.
Did you say I was born in peace?
Yeah, like in a country where there was not a war going on, or there wasn't any political
you were born
differences that were
peace times, we would say in English.
Peacetime, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
I don't speak any other languages, and you do, so well done.
I was thinking that I didn't have the critical thinking maybe for this, and I just wanted to know more stuff about it, and I can share the information. I can think for myself. I can read the articles, but beyond that, what can I do in this situation? I mean, I only saw power through police, through I don't know, the military sometimes maybe, but for myself, I didn't ever had to make any choices. What and fight for something. And I couldn't ever. I only read books and the news about stuff like this. What do you suggest we should do as the people that are young and don't know better?
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
21.
21. Okay. So, I mean, I've had a lot to think about this because 21 and 18, 16 to 25-ish is my main demographic with this. And a lot of the shared opinion is to let this happen. And I don't think that anyone really understands what authoritarianism and fascism is to its detail, as you were saying. And the trying to find a solution is quite difficult. Now, I don't have the answers necessarily, but what I find interesting is that a lot of the generation has issues even bringing up this subject and questioning what's going on. And I think that's the last thing that we have as people, to have some sort of power at all. Because, I mean, we don't know the answers of anything that's going on. Like Richard was saying, we're just floating in chaos. But the last element that we have with any sort of power is to be able to discuss this thing maturely and just open up the discussions of what fascism is and what authoritarianism is, and then maybe from there we can try to figure out what to do. But in the first place, I just don't even see the discussion opening up. A lot of people are shying away from even talking about it because it's scary. COVID is scary. Corona is scary. You know, we don't want to question things. Let's just not do it. The first step isn't even taken at all. So I would say the first step is to just have a discussion about it, be open to talk about it instead of being fearful.
What country are you
You're
from,
right.
Anna?
I'm from Romania.
From Romania. It's pretty strict in Romania right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, the people really follow the rules. But most of our population is rural, and this makes it even easier for the police to take advantage of this.
Are all people your age willing to have the conversation with you, to debate it with you?
No,
They don't want to know.
That's why I'm talking to you, because nobody's talking here about it.
What do they say? Do they just scroll through Instagram and let it happen?
Yeah, they're just saying that when this is gonna be over, I want to go back to the uni. I want to just go to the restaurants and stuff like that. And I'm just here like, you don't even ask the questions. You don't even, yeah, it's sad.
I don't have a solution for you, mate. It's not my field of expertise. You know, I have helped young people to think, but I've not helped them to think politically and to engage politically. And I don't know. I wouldn't even know how I would begin to do that when I'm talking to people who are interested. As I was discussing with the alternative radio station the other night, is to remember that history is not written. It's not done. It's being written every day. And we are history. We're part of this history that's being written. And we do still have some agency. I'm cynical and misanthropic, which means that I fucking hate humans. So I don't really care. But we are still we're still in the game. We're still here. And if we're having the conversation and then you're asking us about how to increase the conversation, there's still some resistance. There's still some conscious awareness.
It's Anna, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're already part of the solution. The fact that you're even willing to come up here and speak about it in the first place. I mean, that shows that there are a lot of people that are your age, because you're one of them right now that's willing to talk about it. Now, like I said, or Richard said, we don't really have the answers, but just to be at least open to the conversation. I mean, you don't have to be forceful with it. I'm a lot more forceful with it. Don't take my example. Just maybe like you can just open the discussion of what is fascism. Maybe, I mean, just ask people, do you know what fascism is? And then maybe we can see what goes on from there. But I think just at least opening the questions, that's it, really.
I'm wondering, you're from England and you're from USA, right? are there like the older people more interested in this and talk about it more? I mean, I get the younger people because they have like Facebook and they're more engaged, but here really the older people just say, oh, it's just how it is, because here communism was a thing before, you know, and they are used to this. And I want to know if it's something about the age or just the fact that they grew up in communism.
Laziness and intellectual dishonesty are not age specific. So we have lazy moral cowards here in the UK as well, across all age groups. Everybody wants to go back to their comforts. That's all. That's all. There are a few voices who can see this for what it is, but most people just, they've been lulled to sleep for years, and now they just want to get back into their warm, comfy bed.
Okay.
Wow, I was hopeful when you called and asked me for guidance.
I will be the hopeful one here. And I just recommend just asking people you know if they know what fascism is. Just start off like that. You don't have to force any agenda or anything, but I think that's just a good place to start. I mean, you've given me hope, the fact that you've even asked this question, so thank you for that, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you for really speaking about this.
Thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again. I'll think about your question and see if I can offer you something better next time we're on.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Anna.
Have a nice talk.
Multimesk.
Oh, you know.
There you go. You got one Romanian word out of me.
Good job.
See you later.
Ciao.
Cheers. All the other Romanian words I know I can't repeat in a public forum.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, I think that people are way more scared of freedom than they are of fascism. People like to say that they like freedom, but I think people are definitely really scared of it.
Because freedom isn't free.
Yeah, but people don't know what to do with it.
It is scary because it puts responsibility back on you, where you really want it to be daddy that takes everything. And it's stressful to be free. It's stressful to be independent. It's stressful to be a grown-up. But look at what happens when you're not. Crazy situations like this. Before we end, Pierre, I want to show everybody I think I missed the sun, but it's just after the sunset. And the birds out here, we have a special nature reserve. And there are birds here that don't stay anywhere else but here in the country. And they don't care. They don't care about any of it.
Enlarging your screen, my friend. Show us this magnificent sunset.
Yeah, my fat head's in the way. You can't quite see it, but there it is. There's the marshland, and there's the sunset in the background.
Which one's the sun, Richard?
The big, bright, glowing thing. Your forehead.
Your forehead.
So when I spend time in nature, that makes me feel hopeful again, because nature doesn't know about all this. If there was a comet flying to Earth and going to smash into it, that would be bad, and then nature would know about it. But that's not what we're dealing with, thankfully.
You know, if anything, if there was anything that was big enough to take down fascism, it comforts me knowing that your forehead exists.
My motherfucking forehead.
Your fucking forehead gonna take down the
see the Illuminati and be like, back the fuck up, bitch. Yeah, shit. You ain't never seen shit like that before. My forehead, bitches.
Gonna take down all the regimes, man.
Well, I think that's it from us, isn't it, Mr. Pierre?
That isn't. Take your lemons to your eyes, y'all. Don't forget.
Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time and your attention. Please remain in a state of blissful gratitude and appreciation for all the wonderful things in life. And look at Pierre. He can smoke through his eyeball. We out.
Yeah.